It's time for another edition of Dome and Domer.
Hello again, Irish fans. Welcome back to Dome and Domer, the oldest Notre Dame sports podcast on the planet. For the next 20 minutes or so, you're going to hear a spirited conversation about the upcoming game with Arkansas. We aren't experts, but we're passionate ND alums who bleed blue and gold. I'm your host, Mike Sullivan. I'm a 1990 Notre Dame grad, and joining me as always, my classmate and dorm mate from Dillon Hall, Mike Brammer, and from the class of 1991, Mike Coffey. Mike's also one of the administrators for the popular ND fan site, ND Nation. If you like what you hear on Dome and Domer, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to learn more about who we are, you can visit our website, domeanddomer.com. Okay, today, Coach Freeman once again spoke to the media. We're going to talk about some of those highlights before we move into a conversation about big games this weekend in college football. And of course, we'll give some predictions for the upcoming game on Saturday with Arkansas. So at the press conference today, guys, immediately, right, we're going to talk about depth chart and the health of some players. So 3 guys who were listed as questionable, 2 have moved into the probable category. So we had Leonard Moore, questionable, Devonta Smith as questionable, and our place kicker, Noah Burnett, as questionable. Burnett and Devonta Smith are now probable, but I think the one we all wanted to see move into that probable or likely category, of course, is All-American cornerback Leonard Moore. So significant in that he's still questionable, and we can hope for the best there. Other questions in the press conference of note. Again, the defense, not surprisingly, the focus of a lot of the media's questions and scrutiny. Everybody wants to see this improve and wants to see it get fixed. And coach is asked about why are you still talking about technique here, right? Has technique changed? What's going on? And your mantra, challenge everything. They are asking him, does that include the defense? And of course it does. And Coach Freeman jumps right back into its technique. And I guess one of the questions or concepts I want to throw out to you guys is it's coaching, but it's not the coaching that maybe people think it is. And by that, I mean, it's not play calling. So give me some thoughts on that side of the ball here. The problems with the defense, I say, are coaching, but I don't think it's play calling. Mike Brammer, what do you think?
Yeah, so there's, I would agree with you 100%. I really think that, well, like Coffey said before, Freeman's only going to tell you what he wants you to hear. He's not going to tell you everything. So, but I think he's being sincere in this particular case because, look, first off, I know we've talked about this before, but there are 5 key players that we lost from last year's defense that I think, in retrospect, when you look back, maybe these are big, huge holes and shoes to fill, and none other than Jack Kaiser. I just think what Kaiser brought to the table, his experience, number 1 Notre Dame football player in total games played. I mean, that's significant. He just brought a lot to the table, and a lot of that leadership just went out the door. That doesn't get easily replaced. You just don't grab somebody off the roster, stick them right there, and they're Jack Kaiser. It didn't work that way.
Let's talk about the significance of those 5 guys, right? You're talking about 2 All-Americans in the defensive line, Howard Cross, Riley Mills, 2 All-Americans in the secondary, Benjamin Morrison, Xavier Watts, and as you said, the guy that played more games in Notre Dame history than anybody in Notre Dame history. So huge holes to fill. And I think some of the questioning this week has been, so why so much, exuberance about the defense in preseason camp? Didn't we see that there were problems there?
Coffee, I'll let you chime in.
I don't know. I'll definitely give you Watts. I mean, when you have a ball hawk like him in the backfield, that's going to cover up for a lot of sins and mistakes. And you got a guy back there who can erase those mistakes quickly. There's certainly something to be said about that. My question is why does there seem to be so much regression with so many players? I mean, yep, Morrison was an outstanding back, but he missed half the season. And guys like Christian Gray and Leonard Moore, who said Moore's playing very well, but it seems to be a lot of the decisiveness and a lot of the focus just doesn't seem to be there. And Saul, to your point, like it may not be the play calling, that's fine, but it's not like the entire defensive staff turned over. I mean, there's only one guy who's different from last year. So I think it's natural that if people are looking at why are there technique issues? Why are things breaking down when they shouldn't? You're going to look at the new guy because everybody else has been there for multiple years.
Well, I think you're right. People are going to do that. And I just think it's a rush to judgment after game one. People are calling for his head. Let's let this whole thing play out is my point. And look, Mike Mickens, do you think Mike Mickens is the defensive backs coach in his fourth year who has produced three, All-Americans, right? And Morrison and Watts, and Moore is a preseason All-American, right? But everybody sees the talent.
Mm-hmm.
Did Mike Mickens get stupid all of a sudden? Do we think Mike Mickens was talked into teaching bad technique by Chris Ash or Washington on the D-line? Or, I mean, that's implausible. Do we think Marcus Freeman isn't paying attention and let unsound things be taught? I don't think that that's what's going on. But when Freeman talks about, right, I know that that's a straw man. I know you're not saying that. But
oh, no, I realize that. But I think it gets back to what we said in previous weeks, where if players are going from acting to reacting, the second you got to think about, oh, wait, where do I go next? What does that guy over there do? Then your technique is going to suffer, I think, because you're focused on, okay, I'm a step behind on the play. I got to get back as best I can.
Yeah.
And you're not necessarily thinking, this is how my footwork should be. This is how my shoulders should be. This is where's my guy.
So, Mike, I agree with you in principle and in theory, but in reality, like, okay, so we're playing man. Okay. I know that I have this man. Okay.
Mhm.
Is it route recognition? Well, fine. Then we're not repping it enough at practice. These aren't schematic things that they're not sure because we have some new scheme or a play call and we're not sure what to do. Again, we say, well, Freeman is addressing it in practice what it is. And you immediately, Bram, you're like, well, he's going to tell you what he wants you to hear. So we dismiss before he ever says anything the validity of what he's about to say because we've already decided it's scheme and it's X's and O's and it's got to be Chris Ash. And I just am rejecting that. There's one person there who knows and who is there every day, and it's Marcus Freeman, and it's none of the media. It's certainly not us, right? And it's none of the media. They're not there, and they don't know.
I think the other thing that's coming into play here is that, which is to your point of give Ash some time here. Let's not rush to judgment. Part of being a defensive coordinator is that it's coordinating the defense. It's understanding, okay, what are my DBs like in game action and what do they look like on film? And how are my edge rushers getting to the quarterback? Are they effective? Because if your edge rushers are getting there pretty well, then you can gamble with a little bit more man-to-man because the chances are you're going to get to the quarterback before the wide receiver has a chance to break off of that man-to-man coverage and deliver a big play. So all of this has got to be kind of over the course of time, over the course of the season, hopefully sooner than later. And I think Arkansas is going to be that kind of game for us. This is going to be a defining moment for this football team this season. And I say that not just because we're in a must-win situation, but I just really think that this game is going to be a huge indicator to where Notre Dame's at and where we're going for the rest of the season. But that's all part of it. We've got to figure out this defensive team. What are our strengths and how do we coach to that? And then the play calling falls in line with that.
That's exactly right. And that's the coaching that we need to figure out, right? How do we communicate a better way to teach the technique we want? How do we say, well, this kid can't quite do this technique. We're going to have to modify it for the personnel we have on the field, right? That's the coaching. Freeman talks about what are we tolerating that we shouldn't tolerate? Because what we see and tolerate Monday through Friday is what we see on game film on Saturday. That's the coaching. How we conduct our meetings, how we do our walkthroughs. Today he talked a lot about practice plan. Are we spending enough time on individual period, or do we need more time in group period, or how do we handle our team period? All of those things are coaching. That's what makes the difference on Saturday. And from my seat, rarely is it play call. Let me just give you a quick walk down memory lane. Al Golden was great. We all agree on that. Al Golden's first year at Columbus, pivotal third and I want to say 3rd and 7 or so. And we bring pressure, get beat in man coverage, touchdown. That's the Ohio State goes ahead for good. A lot of Notre Dame fans will remember that play. The next year in Notre Dame Stadium, Ohio State's ultimate game-winning drive, 3rd and about 14. We play zone. They convert, pick up the first down. The drive continues. Oh, and by the way, then we have 10 guys on the field from a defensive coordination standpoint. Okay. Then last year in the national championship game, we bring pressure again on the critical 3rd down play. We get beat for the touchdown. Those are 3 play calls that Al Golden, the Broyles Award winner, in 3 successive years, people wanted to burn the place down because of those play calls. Those play calls didn't cost us the game. Play calls, you get the result you want. Sometimes you don't. They get to practice too, right? They get to scheme also. So it's not about play call. It's about technique and how we're spending practice time and what we allow and tolerate. And those are the things that are fixable. So enough of my sermon. We'll move on. Okay, let's talk about some college football big matchups this week and the implications they have for the college football playoffs and for Notre Dame. So the huge game, obviously, Oregon, Penn State at Happy Valley. How do you guys see this one going? Mike Coffey, let's start with you.
If the game was in Oregon, I would say Oregon's going to win going to win in a blowout. And I still think it can possibly happen. I think Penn State is a very talented team. Penn State is a mediocrely coached team. And I think no one's really been watching Oregon because they have all those late starts out on the coast, but they're going to be in prime time in this game. And I think they're just going to smoke them.
Okay,
great. Dante Moore is the kid that we lost out on, and he's been lighting it up. So no doubt. I think that's going to be interesting. It'll be this will be his coming out party. If he's able to handle that crowd and he delivers, look out. Oregon's going to be real good the rest of the year. If he doesn't, and he's the typical, starry-eyed kid that shows up in an all-white out stadium, it's going to take them a while to get to re-get their loins back together. But I think it's going to be a fascinating game, and you're going to see whether or not Dante Moore's for real.
All right, let's get those loins together. I think the loser of the game is probably in, right? If everybody holds serve, right? I'm not sure this game has impact for the 12-team field as much as maybe a projection of who is a contender to win it all. But both are outstanding teams and will probably be in the 12-team field. Georgia and Alabama. Now, Alabama, however, might a second loss early in the year, and Alabama could be in trouble if Georgia's able to put a second loss on them. Bram, any thoughts on the SEC matchup?
Yeah, I do think it's kind of a must-win situation for Alabama. I think if they lose this game, I don't see them winning out. Now, I do think this could be a weird year for college football. We could see a 3-loss team in the playoffs this year, only because I just think there's that much parity right now. But we'll wait and see. But I definitely, I kind of feel like, man, Alabama loses this game. Look out.
Right. USC, Illinois. We got to see USC keep winning and ideally come in here undefeated, right? We talked about that. Always want to see an undefeated USC team come in here so we can beat them. That's how I see the world. Ole Miss and LSU, again, you want to see people start racking up some losses. I think that's important. And Mike Coffey, I'm going to throw this easy one to you. Who do you want to see lose in this one?
Well, I think once again, we have a team that's incredibly talented but mediocrely coached. I think Ole Miss can possibly win it, but I think LSU's talent. This may be the year that LSU's talent just defies Brian Kelly's ability to screw it up. So I'm gonna hope Ole Miss wins it. My head though says probably LSU.
Okay, Auburn versus A&M. Again, I want to see A&M continue to win. That's going to be good for Notre Dame, obviously, to see A&M highly ranked and nationally respected. So let's hope they don't stub their toe there with Auburn. And, of course, the biggest game of the week, as always, is our game. So let's get into a little bit some of the particulars around the matchup here with Arkansas. The stakes are very high, as we've talked about. we win this game, and I think it signals that we're capable of running the table, right? I think the question is, hey, if we don't win this game, do we see the wheels come off this thing, or the implications for the rest of the year, win or lose? Bram, let's start with you.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% there. I just really think this is such a telltale game for us because if there is in fact improvement on the defensive side of the ball, we're going to see it on Saturday. And as long as it's enough improvement to win the football game for us, who cares? I'll take a 1-point win at Arkansas all day long. If that doesn't happen, if Notre Dame loses on Saturday, I don't see the wheels coming off and all of a sudden the whole thing implodes on us, only because that's not indicative of Marcus Freeman. He's always rebounded really well. I said this at the very beginning of the season. I thought it was very possible we could be the very best 9-3 football team in America if we went to 3 losses. I think losing this early to get to those 3 would be a real problem. That's going to be tough for them to do it. But I just think this is such a key game for us because I think if we can pull out the win, it's going to be the result of improvement on the defensive side of the ball, because I just don't see us outscoring them with us scoring on every single drive. We just need to see some improvement there, and that's going to bode well for the rest of the season, I think, for this football team.
Mike Coffey. Yep.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, right now, I think it's going to be a trap meet. I'm still in the Ed Jordanic school of I got to see this mythical improvement before I actually going to put a ton of faith in it. Now, having said that, Arkansas is, I believe, from what I read, I think they're ranked 113th in the country against the run or something along some statistic along those lines. If you're Jeremiah Love and Jerian Price, you got to be licking your chops looking at these guys saying, I could probably peel some long runs off. The key is going to be, can the defense shut down their quarterback, Mr. Green? I think it's going to be the question is, are we looking at A&M all over again, where our efforts to keep a mobile quarterback corralled results in players running wild in the secondary? Or in the 2 weeks since that game, have lessons been learned, and are we going to be able to actually make some stops? Because when you've got a team playing for an embattled coach, they can either really get focused and say, he's our guy, we want to help him, or this guy's not going to be here next year, so maybe I just kind of, coast along. It's hard to tell what's going to happen.
Yeah, 2 quick thoughts, and we'll move on to our pick 6 keys to the game. One, I would hope, and maybe I'm naive, the players need to be immune and apart from the noise outside the building about
for
Chris
the record,
Ash,
I was talking
right?
about Arkansas's coach, not any of ours.
Oh, thank you. My mind immediately went to
Pittman's seat is red hot. I'm sorry, I should have been clear.
He's not going to be here
Pittman's
next
seat
year.
is red hot right now. So
great
are
clarification.
the Arkansas players going to try to save his job, or are they going to say screw it and go? Sorry, I should have been clearer on that.
No, I'm glad you clarified that. And then relative to the defensive improvement, it is mythical right now. 100% agree. I'm hopeful that we see it. And we may not see it statistically, but we might see it in the defense. In a game like this, I think 2 defenses that are not great, but the one that can make enough plays at the right times can decide the game. And that's where I think I'm counting on us seeing improvement, timely improvement, because Arkansas is going to score points to get their yards. That's what they do, right? And we will too, because 2 great offenses. All right, so let's move on to pick 6 keys to the game. Bram, you're going to go first. What do you got?
Well, to the point of being able to run the football, I do think we've got to be effective running the football. It's got to be a mainstay for us to get off the blocks. So I don't think we have to kill it. I don't think we need 250 yards rushing. I even think that 150 would do it. But if we don't run for 150 yards, we're in deep trouble. That just is not going to bode well for what we're going to need to do to pull off a win there at Fayetteville. So I think that's the minimum barrier is 150. But boy, it's got to be on first down too. It can't be going backwards on first down.
Mike Coffey, what do you think?
Well, I think we've talked about how good the offenses are, and Notre Dame seems to be playing better each week, but the offense is only as good as the guy running it. So I think we've got to keep CJ Carr on his feet. I think at most, or I would say maybe fewer than 2 sacks given up. He needs to be on his feet, looking around, keeping the ball moving, because if it turns into the track meet, I think it's going to negative plays only make the job more difficult.
Yeah, so I agree with both those keys to the game. 150 yards rushing is enough. Now, I think we're going to have better success than that. But Bram, to your point, if you're able to establish 150 yards in that ballpark, that's going to set up our passing game, right? We'll be able to take some shots. It's going to command their respect. And I kind of feel like if you're grinding it out for 150, our 2 studs are going to eventually wear you down and break one. So I'm with you there. And Coffee, I agree. Key to the game, protect the quarterback. And this speaks to managing the game here for CJ Carr. I don't think we have to be perfect in that, but he needs to feel comfortable so that we can get all aspects of our offense going. Those are our first 2 keys for the game on offense: 150 yards rushing, protect the quarterback. All right, looking ahead at the defensive side of the ball. One more thought on offense. I'll go with this. I think we need to manage our possessions. And what I mean by that is I'm not saying that this is a time of possession game, because if it's a shootout and you might be in a hurry up mode, you might be, scoring in big chunks, time of possession may not be the indicator, but managing our possessions. And what I mean by that is I think we have to have no empty trips in the red zone. Ideally, you want to get 6, not 3, but you can't have empty possessions in the red zone in a game like this. Every possession is going to matter, and you got to get points. I think managing the middle 8, we talk about that a lot. End of the first half, start of the second half, and depending on who wins the opening toss, right? If ideally we win and defer, we get the last possession of the half and the first one of the second half. That's a great way to win those middle 8. I'd like to see us rise up and handle the middle 8 better. And then 4-minute offense is a way of managing the possessions as well. And that's running the clock out at the end of the half so they don't get that extra possession. Maybe it's running the clock because we have a lead late in the game. So to me, the management of possessions is really a critical part of the offensive side of the ball. All right, let's talk about the D a little bit. Bram, give me one of your keys to the game.
Well, just with him being such a mobile quarterback and his ability to run the football, we have got to contain him. We cannot let him have a big day running the football. That's going to be disastrous. So if you're looking for kind of a statistic around that, I would say he can't have more than 60 yards rushing for the day. If he has more than that, that's going to be a real problem for us.
I think if he has that many, it's going to be a problem for us.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a couple busts. I can see him scrambling for 20 yards on a busted coverage, where we don't have anybody spying him and he gets outside and we only sent 4. And so I could see that. So that's why I'm thinking 60 might be attainable. But boy, if he has anything more than that, that's going to be a real problem for us.
I think 60 is the problem for us. That would indicate that he's had some big chunks and no sacks. So I would be very concerned at that level of production for the quarterback rushing. Mike Coffey, what do you think?
Well, I think we talked about no negative plays on offense. Well, we're going to need the negative plays on defense. I think we need to make sure that we don't get beat and give up big yards first, second down, because second and short, third and short, with a quarterback like Green, that's going to be so hard to defend. I think the defense on first and second down are so important. Just keep them in second and long, third and long situations. Limit what Green is going to be able to do, and make it a little bit easier for our defense to say, okay, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 8. I don't think we necessarily have to worry about a standard running play here. So while we want to keep an eye on the quarterback, we can at least limit what he's able to do.
I agree. That's a big key to the game, is staying ahead of the chains on defense. We've been pretty good on third down defense. I mean, not great, but we're around 40th in the country, and relative to the rest of the defensive performance, that's pretty good, right? But we're terrible on first and second down. If we can stay ahead of the chains on defense, make them maybe a little more one-dimensional on third down because they're in third and long. I think that's a huge part of it. Mike Coffey, I agree with you. Our last of our pick six keys to the game is going to be a special teams element, and I think it's to play clean on special teams. I don't think we need the amazing big play, a return, a block. I want to play clean. I want to see us convert all of our kicks. I want to see us have no penalties that give them a first down on a roughing the kick or something like that. We saw our punt return team give up a fake punt. I don't want to see any of those momentum plays for Arkansas on special teams. So all we have to do, in my view, just play clean on special teams and we'll be okay. All right, let's move on to our final score predictions. Mike Coffey, I'm going to start with you. Give me a final score you feel good about.
I've been going back and forth all week, and in the end, I decided to channel my inner Ed Jordanic. I think Arkansas is going to kick a field goal to win at the end of the game, 38-35.
Man, come on, you're better than that.
I'm hoping for the defensive improvement. I'm hoping they can keep Green contained, and who knows? And if they come out and they do those things, I'm going to be a big time believer next week. But right now, going against like a top 10 offense on the road, I don't know.
Okay, Bram.
Yeah, I do agree with Coffey. It's going to be a shootout. I do think though that this will be that indicator game that we need, and I think the Irish will pull it out. But I sense something like 41-35. I just think this is going to be a shootout, and I just don't see us keeping them out of the end zone for 4 straight quarters with the kind of running quarterback that they got like that and the way our defense has been up to this point.
Listen, they're going to get theirs. No question about it. I'm going 37-31. 3 field goals for the Irish to get us to 37. And, I feel like this offense is poised to control the game when we need to control it. Back to what I was saying, the middle 8 and 4-minute. I think those are going to be critical parts. The run game and clutch play by C.J. Carr. Irish pull it out 37-31. Okay, well, we're going to leave it there on a high note, Mike Coffey. Thank you. And we'll be back on Sunday to wrap up the game against Arkansas. For Mike Coffey and Mike Brammer, I'm Mike Sullivan. We'll see you next time on Dome and Domer.